Have you ever found yourself utterly engrossed in a digital world, so deeply immersed that the line between the screen and your reality begins to blur? It's a common experience for many of us, especially when the game is designed to pull you in, to truly challenge your senses. And sometimes, when that line blurs, what's on the screen can feel a little too real, leaving a lingering chill long after you've powered down. Tonight, I want to share a story about a young man named Leo who, like many, loved the thrill of online gaming. But unlike most nights, this particular session left him with a different kind of thrill, one that still sends shivers down his spine whenever he recalls it. Leo was deep into Shadow's Grin, a new online horror game that had been making waves in the gaming community. It wasn't just about jump scares. It was an atmospheric masterpiece, a slow burn of dread designed to burrow into your mind. The developers had meticulously crafted a world of dimly lit corridors, unsettling whispers, and a pervasive sense of being watched. Leo, a self-proclaimed connoisseur of fear, thrived on it. His room, usually a chaotic mess, was meticulously arranged for optimal gaming. Dim lights, a comfortable chair, and a headset that perfectly isolated him from the outside world. He was in his element. When he first launched the game, a stark white text box had popped up against the inky black screen. It read, "Warning, this game is not intended for solo play. Do not play alone." Leo chuckled, a low, confident sound. "Please," he muttered to himself, adjusting his headset. "That's just for show, a cheap trick to amp up the atmosphere." He'd faced digital monsters countless times, navigated treacherous virtual landscapes, and emerged unscathed. A warning about playing alone was, to him, just another layer of immersion, a clever way to make players feel more vulnerable. He clicked past it, eager to dive into the darkness. Hours melted away as Leo navigated the game's eerie mansion, his avatar clutching a flickering flashlight. The tension was palpable, the silence broken only by the creak of virtual floorboards or the distant guttural growl of some unseen horror. He was so absorbed that he barely registered the passage of time until his eyes flicked to the corner of his screen. It was 2 a.m. The house around him was utterly silent, every family member long since asleep. The only sound was the faint hum of his gaming PC. Suddenly, without warning, his avatar froze mid-step, its flashlight beam cutting off abruptly. Leo frowned, tapping his keyboard, jiggling his mouse. Nothing. The game was stuck. He checked his internet connection, stable. He tried to Alt-Tab, but the screen was locked. A flicker of annoyance, then a creeping sense of unease began to prickle at him. Then, slowly, deliberately, text began to appear on the screen, not from the game's interface, but as if typed directly onto the frozen image. One letter after another, an invisible hand pecking out the words. "I'm not alone anymore." Leo's breath hitched. His heart, which had been steadily pounding with the game's manufactured dread, now hammered with genuine alarm. This wasn't part of the game. He knew it. This felt different. He stared at the words, a cold dread seeping into his bones. He reached for his mouse again, trying to close the window, to force a reboot, anything to break this strange trance. Just then, his webcam, perched atop his monitor, flickered. Its tiny green light, usually off unless he was in a video call, blinked to light. He instinctively recoiled, a gasp catching in his throat. The screen, still displaying the frozen game and the chilling message, now also showed his own reflection, superimposed in the corner, a grainy, distorted image of himself. He stared at his reflection, his eyes wide with a mixture of fear and confusion. He saw his own pale face, the disheveled hair, the flickering light of the monitor reflecting in his pupils. But then his gaze drifted slightly, just behind his own digital image. The reflection wasn't just him. It was him, yes, But behind him, in the reflected room, there was something else. A shadowy form, a presence barely discernible in the low light. And on its face, a grin. A wide, unnatural, impossibly stretched grin that seemed to twist the very fabric of the reflection. It was grinning too wide, far too wide for any human face. And it was looking directly at him, through the webcam, through the screen. In that instant, all rational thought fled. The game, the warning, the late hour, it all coalesced into one terrifying, undeniable truth. Whatever this was, it was no longer just on his screen. It was there. With a guttural cry, Leo slammed his laptop shut, the plastic snapping together with a desperate finality. He threw himself back in his chair, scrambling away from the desk as if the machine itself was a conduit to some tangible evil. He sat there, hunched, trembling, his eyes darting around the darkened room, listening to the frantic thud of his own heart. The silence of the house pressed in on him, heavier than before. And then, from behind him, faint but undeniably clear, a whisper brushed against his ear, cold as a winter draft. Your turn to hide. Music swells slightly, then becomes a soft, sustained drone. Leo didn't sleep that night. He spent the rest of the hours until dawn huddled in a corner of his room, watching the closed laptop as if it might spring open at any moment, revealing that same impossible reflection. The experience fundamentally changed something within him. He no longer saw online games, especially horror games, in the same light. The boundary between the digital realm and the physical one, once so clear, had become unsettlingly porous. He learned a harsh lesson that night about the wisdom of warnings, about the unseen things that sometimes lurk on the edges of our perception, waiting for us to lower our guard. He still plays games, but never, ever alone in the dead of night. And he always, always listened to the warnings. Music slowly fades in, becoming more prominent but still gentle. This story serves as a chilling reminder that sometimes the most terrifying things aren't the monsters on the screen, but the unsettling feeling that something has crossed over, that you're no longer alone. It highlights that thin veil between what we create and what might respond to our creations. What are your thoughts on this? Have you ever had an experience where a game felt a little too real or a warning seemed to come to life? Share your stories and reflections in the comments below. And if you found this story intriguing, please consider following for more tales that explore the mysterious and the uncanny. Until next time, stay safe and maybe, just maybe, heed those warnings.